Hello, welcome to another edition of From the Bars to the Bricks Prison Ministries Incorporated. I'm Kev, your favorite felon. How is everybody doing today? Hopefully good. So today we're going to talk about running a $140,000 a year 501c3 nonprofit corporation within the Kansas prison systems as an inmate. Sounds interesting. Stay tuned for more. So, before I get any further, let me forget the part that, or not forget the part that I always forget. Please like, subscribe, bam, hit that subscribe button, comment. I want to hear what you got to say. I want to know what your thoughts, your input, what you'd like to see, what you want to know about. Just a general good video. Video sucks. I mean, input. If video sucks, why? What about it? So I can look at it, maybe correct it. So, without further ado, so $140,000 a year 501c3 nonprofit corporation at any level is a decent undertaking. I was the president of the Excel Jaycees in the Dorado Correctional Facility. Let me back up the Excel Jaycees. Let me tell you a little bit about them. They're a Pop 9 chapter, which means they are a prison chapter. They are part of the Jaycees International, U.S. Junior Chamber of Commerce. So they are a part of a national organization within the prison systems. The Jaycees on the streets aren't as prevalent as volunteering and public service and stuff has declined, and they are time consuming and hard to maintain. But anyway, what our purpose was to provide effective programs and services which help reduce recidivism and enable them for a successful reintegration in society. That's not verbatim. That's just kind of my own little rendition because I would have to think about it from verbatim. It's been a few years. But so in 2010, I was elected to president of the Jaycees. And JC is a nonprofit corporation. There's a board of directors, there's members, and you're elected by the membership. Here comes the kicker. In prison, at least in El Dorado, they had enough problems with people doing nefarious actions in other facilities with these self-help programs that they put extra implementations in place to possibly avoid further issues. So you had to be approved by the activities staff, Alan Jameson, or David Suttle at the time I was first elected president. And then you had to be approved further on up all the way through EAI and administration. One of the main purposes, one of the main incomes was our food stand. We had top quality food out there for visitors at reasonable price. You get a full rack of ribs, for $10. Yeah, they were good too. It was just really good food, burgers, fried chicken. Man, we had all sorts of stuff, breakfast foods, biscuits and gravy, hot wings, pizza. It was Papa Murphy's pizzas we bought, and then we cooked them out at visitation as people ordered them. So fresh, hot pizza. Um, so, we had some good food out there. But anyway, for you that don't know, about prisons and stuff, visitation is one of the main ways people get stuff in a medium and maximum facility that's not brought in by staff. Yeah, you heard that right. That's not brought in by staff. So the food stand, those guys have a little more freedom to run around and roam. They go to the bathroom, they this, that. So, it's they really want to be sure they got the right people, because if anybody's going to have the opportunity to do something, it would be those guys, and it makes it, or it, they could distract the officer or whatever, or tell guys. Anyway, long story short, they tried to keep a control on that. So I was approved by administration, and the way it was kind of done was, you're kind of pre-approved. It was like the guys that were running, once you already, it was set that who was running, they were run through checks and stuff. And if they weren't able to, man, there was no, like, excuse the lack of better terms, dick moves. Um, they did allow a guy in before me that was, I was his administrative vice president for maybe a couple weeks. I don't think he lasted a month. He tried doing some stuff that wasn't quite legit, and was removed. And then I succeeded as president, and then it just. But then I was elected thereafter, and but kind of, anyway, operating a corporation like that, even on the streets, I am just it was, there's so much work. I put in 60 to 80 hours a week at least. I usually went out to the office as soon as I could, um, around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'd go out to the office, and I'd be out at the office until, man, I'd come in for count. Sometimes it come in for count at 3. Sometimes I'd stay out there and through count. If my bosses were out there or something, that were over the gym and yard, not boss over the JC, but boss over the gym and yard, because we were an inmate run organization. They oversaw us, but we ran everything. Um, but unless they're out there, I got to stay through count. But anyway, so then I would usually go back, close the yard about 9:15, I think it was, at night. You know, so I was out there all day. This sometimes, 6, 7 days a week. I was in that office 7 days a week, at least, no less than 6 to 7 hours, and that was usually only a couple days a week. Like I said, the most of the days, and even the days I went back to my house, I still was working in the house. And Eric was my administrative vice president. Um, Same thing. He did a lot of work. Me and him did a lot back at the house, discuss stuff and all that. And, so it's a full-time endeavor. And now, being in a prison system, a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, you have so many stringent rules and everything. There's always all these things that lay over us that we have to follow exactly, with the IRS, Department of Revenue, you know, and all the state laws, the Secretary of State's office, like I'm incorporated through and everything. Well, in Kansas, is Kansas State of Secretary of State, and whatever state they're in with their Secretary of State. But anyway, there's so much already you have to watch out for. Now you take that and insert that in a prison system. So now you not only have another big brother watching over you and looking over every little thing you do, but you also have to deal with your membership and the people you serve in your direct community, which is the guys in the prison. That adds, I tell you what, trying to balance and a peace between the two groups, between administration and doing what they wanted and the inmates alone. It was just crazy because I'm one voice, and even though I was the president of Jaycees, I did have a voice that was listened to. I got a lot of things accomplished. um I was part of instrumenting an extra yard, for level 3 guys. You guys don't know, there's a level system in Kansas. Level 1's where you actually start level 0 in RDU. You go to level 1, which is the general population. As long as you don't get in trouble, every 120 days you'll move up to the next level until you reach level 3, which is the highest level. And with each level comes more incentives and privileges and stuff like that. So the level 3 yard, then the guys at one point, what is now RDU on the east side, what used to be uh, population, and that's where we were at. And the west side was RDU, Supermax, and SEG. And then at the back C cell house, there was Max guys on one side and SEG guys on the other. Well, these Max guys couldn't come out to evening yard. That was the bigger yards, and those are the guys more likely to get in trouble. They didn't want them out in the yard, and but we had softball, intramural basketball, intramural volleyball. It's not fair. These guys are general population. They should be able to participate. They were not allowed to. So me and Anthony Griffith, who was the president of Reaching Out From Within at that time, we fought to try to get these guys allowed to come out, and we won. Just on an issue of human decency and fairness, giving a guy something to work towards. You give a guy something to do and a reason to stay out, then he's going to stay out. He's going to have something to do to occupy his time, something constructive instead of destructive. So, again, if we don't show a guy another way, he'll never know another way. But so the Jaycees, we had a food stand. That was our biggest moneymaker. We also had variety sales, which we would sell items that weren't sold on the canteen, like different food products, hygiene products, body washes, a good soap, a good shampoo for when I had hair. It just, we was able to buy some colognes that you couldn't get on the cologne oils that you couldn't get on canteen, coffee creamers, different stuff like that. The luxuries of life, the comforts that we couldn't normally get. Sometimes the basic hygiene and the basic like property. So we got shorts and stuff at one time, and then the administration had a whole fit over that when they didn't like that because that created paperwork for them. But whoops, guys got some better shorts, cheap shorts that we got a really good deal on some shorts, and yeah. Anyway, so but what was the purpose of that? Why did we do that? Why would you have such a large nonprofit in a prison? For one, we were leadership development. We built leaders. We built managers. We built people. We showed them how to survive on their own, how to make decisions, how to face life issues. We had our main goal was our classes. We had a plethora of classes from fatherhood, breaking the cycle of domestic violence, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. We wrote a workbook for that and was teaching it. Actually, Ormond Wimberly Jr. had wrote that workbook. We taught that class. The We had all sorts of character first, a whole bunch of classes on self-help, budgeting, family life, stress management, time management, the everyday things we need. Plus, we also had volunteers that come in from the community that were businessmen and women, legislators, this and that, and would come in to speak on whatever their profession or whatever. We would help people get linked with halfway houses or whatever they need, at Connection Firm Foundations and Working Men of Christ. And so we try to help get guys into those. I don't have a house yet. This year, 2023 is the year. You can mark it down. It's going to happen this year. God's going to make it happen. It's His plan. He's going to make it happen. We're going to open a home here in Kincaid. for guys coming out of prison or reentry home. So, I want guys, and it's going to be all on different. Another interview. Anyway, sorry, I got excited about that. But so, what was the purpose of the classes, the volunteers? You had to pay to belong to the Jaycees. You couldn't just be a member of the Jaycees either. You had to be level 3. You couldn't have had any trouble, DRs, or anything like that for at least 6 months. And it cost you $30 a year. But there's just so much. We taught guys to volunteer, to give back to their communities. Most of us had been takers all of our lives. So now the Jaycees, and through the classes and the self-help courses and the interaction with the other members and the positive people within the group and the influence all the others that are trying to do good, we helped build others up. We also taught classes on business plan, business management, all sorts of stuff. These were inmate taught classes. And I want to say, now you guys are sitting there thinking, oh, they're inmate taught classes. They're not even real classes. Well, so I'll just point on that. For one, just because somebody's an inmate don't mean they're an idiot. They still have knowledge. They still have a brain. And not all of us are just complete dummies. There are some educated people in prison, even some non-educated people that are not dumb, that can teach you something. Everybody can teach you something. You can teach somebody something, whether you know it or not. If you don't know the material, learn it. I tell you what, we had some wonderful, wonderful teachers that were inmates. Really grasped people's attention. Powerful, powerful, just charisma. Just, man, it was awesome. But anyway, we had 2 classes, Fatherhood and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that were recognized by the Kansas Department of Corrections to be used as program credit classes. Now, these guys could take these classes, and they're part of a 3-pack, is what they call it. These guys would take 3 classes, and they would get, time off of their sentence. At the time, it was 90 days. Now it's 120 days, I believe. But it's, our classes were recognized by the state of Kansas. The National Jaycees said they had never had a chapter do that. They had never had a chapter rewrite JC stuff and utilize it inside to make it work inside the prison system that hadn't been done yet. Because a lot of the program stuff had been rewrote, but there were some things like the degrees program. Guy in prison couldn't get his 10th degree of JCs because they had things like BB gun shoots. They really frown on shooting any type of weapons in prison. They don't like it at all. It causes issues and problems, and a lot of extra police, and they got bigger guns. Don't think they would sanction that activity. So I improvised. I rewrote it, sent it off to nationals, got it approved, and now my system for the degrees of JCs is implemented in POP 9 chapters all over the world. The first place it was implemented outside of Kansas was in Angola, Louisiana. Max in Louisiana. Yeah, it's crazy. But there are inmates and they're doing good things. We would have legislators and stuff come in and they would never know. So, but these legislators and stuff, some of which I still talk to today, were just amazed that there were inmates taking their time out and taking their energy and their knowledge and helping others grow. The day-to-day running of that corporation was, like I said, it was very daunting. Not really daunting. It was a great undertaking. It was a great. I enjoyed it so much because that's what I enjoy, is giving back. It's like now, my ministries now, I put in 16 to 18 hours a day, usually 7 days a week. And but I love it. I enjoy it. I like helping people. I want to grow so I can help more people. But so our classes, and again, I want to go, I'm going to put it up as the beginning of this video. But we actually received, and it's on my website. If you want to go to my website, if you go to my YouTube banner, or for mobile users, to my About page, or even computer, anybody can go to the About page. Links down there to my website. Go to my website, and the About on my website, it gives a certificate and talks about it. But we were recognized by the Kansas Senate for the programs and classes and our volunteerism in reducing recidivism throughout the state of Kansas. Prisoners. We were prisoners. Recognized by the Kansas Senate. You know how pissed off the KDOC people were when we got that? They're mad. They get paid to do this stuff, and they weren't getting recognized. They were upset. But here's the thing. I tried to go to some of them DOC classes. Man, I mean, some of the people are teaching them their hearts there, but they don't have the respect from the inmates. They don't have it's just that there's no control, there's no structure, and it's just, I don't know, they weren't as engaging. They were disrupting you, talking back and forth, disrespect. It was, we would never allow that in our JC's classes. When you come to a class with JC's, you will treat that class like it's a college class on the street. You'll be respectful. You will not talk over people. You will not interrupt people. And you will not cuss people out, tell them they're stupid. And if someone shares something personal, keep it to yourself. You know, it just, the simple things. But also, I've had guys that got out when I was still in prison that would email me or write me and say, hey, man, thank you. Your classes set me out on the streets. There was a little Korean guy lived next door to me. Cool little guy. He was a knucklehead. I kept telling him, bro, you're a lifer on the installment plan. He's like, no, I only got a year. Yeah, you'll be back, though. You're a lifer on the installment plan. You're an idiot. Take this class. You need to try 7 habits. At least try this. Change. And he was so resistant. Well, I finally got him to do it in secret. We literally had like a wall separating ourselves, and there's a space under the door like that, so we could pass stuff. But I got him to do the 7 habits, and I'd do the class from inside my cell, a lot of times laying on the floor, talking to the guy under the door, because he didn't want everybody to know he was in a class, because it wasn't cool to change. Plus, if you do good and you don't get in trouble, that's when the officers and the staff want to mess with you. Usually, they, oh, you're just up to something. You're doing no good. You've got to be. You're a criminal. You can't be doing good things for the right reasons. What the heck? You don't change. There's no rehabilitation. It's a common thought process. It's a common thought process. The JCs, we tried to change that attitude, and it helps. I was president for 5 years. Eric was my administrative vice president for 5 years. Prior to that, we were on the board in other roles as I was administrative vice president. I was a membership vice president. And so, I was director in different, throughout the Hutch Correctional Facility, the Rock Castle Jaycees, and Castle Rock in Ellsworth. I was on the board, so I maintained throughout the board, throughout a lot of the JCs. And but to see me and Eric, we held these positions for a long time on the board, and that meant we had to stay out of trouble. That meant we couldn't be under suspicions from administration or anything for too much, because they'll pull that from you. And but they Sometimes if they remove that from you, they just transfer you because it's easier and it causes less issues on the yard, especially if you're a popular president. But me and Eric are out. We're doing good. We both have prison channels. We both are giving back. We've both been out for a while. We're both off parole. I'm getting ready to go back in as a volunteer into the prison systems, trying to get Eric talked in too. So, man, this got to look good. The Jaycees, there's something going on there. Reaching out from within, same way. Both programs, for the members that were actively involved, the recidivism rate was less than 10%. Less than 10% of people, of guys in prison that were involved with the self-help organization, actually involved, not just attending or whatever, involved, taking part of the curriculum, the programs, whatever that's offered, less than 10% recidivism rate. Now, tell me our system don't lack effective programs. This is a inmate-run organization, impacting lives, reducing recidivism from one prison facility. Imagine what would happen if something like that happened in all the facilities. Even if you could get the DOC to bring effective programs, that would make a difference. Anyway, if any of you guys would like to know any more about running the Jaycees, running a corporation inside a prison system, running a corporation in general, feel free to comment. I enjoyed my time serving. I have some regrets. I did let my power go to my head. I was more of a manager than a leader. But that's where we learn. And that's where we grow. My term was still very successful. Staff and stuff still to this day talk about me. I was the president up until February 15th of 2015. Almost 8 years ago. And it's humbling. When I went to minimum at Winfield, Paul Snyder, who was the deputy warden at El Dorado at the time for many, many years, Paul was over us, the Jaycees. He was also over like different areas of visitation, maintenance, stuff like that, various capacities. Me, we're in Jaycees, maintenance, and all that. I usually had a lot of interactions with Paul. But he's the warden now in Winfield. When I saw him a couple years ago when I was there, he was like, man, he said, the Jaycees is really lacking since you haven't been there. You were like the best president. He was part of the El Dorado for years. He started out as an officer, unit team, and moved all his way up, his way all the way up throughout the years. He was there through a few presidents. My buddy Ormond Wimberly was an awesome president. He loved what he did, and he did what he loved, and he enjoyed helping people. But I don't know what the difference. I'm a little more charismatic, maybe. I'm a more of a people person. I'm not sure what the difference, but I appreciated the compliment. Anyway, I don't want to keep you guys too long. Sorry, long video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, become a part of the ministries. Let's grow this thing. Let's make a change. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's get that subscriber count up, people. I need to get that subscriber out. I can do more lives off my phone. I want to do more lives like around town and stuff. I live in a beautiful small area. Like, subscribe. I will see you guys later. I'm Kev, your favorite felon, and